What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Stellar Lumens today, XLM. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. The purpose of this video, you guys, we're going to talk about the long-term outlook for XLM and where we're going to go potentially by the end of this cycle. What that might look like from a time perspective and from a price perspective. So if that sounds interesting to you, hit the like button, subscribe. We can definitely get into the short-term stuff and do like the standard TA that we normally do, but I want to do some long-term analysis on this thing just to go over the potential that we have here. Okay, so looking at this on Coinbase, should we do Coinbase? Yeah, that's got basically the all-time history, if not the all-time history of it. So yeah, that's fine. We can do that here. I want to look at this chart, and then I also want to look at the XLM BTC chart. Okay. Something that hopefully has just as much data, if not around there. Let's see. On Coinbase, does that work? Let's see. Do we have enough? Nope, not enough. What about Binance? Binance normally does this stuff first. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Back to 2015. Yeah, I think so. That's nice. Okay. Okay, so we're going to analyze XLM to BTC, project where this could go. We're also going to analyze XLM USD and project where this could go, and then compare notes and see if they agree. And if they agree, that doesn't mean that the price has to go there, but it's kind of compelling. It might be compelling, right? Two different charts pointing to the same things. Let's see. We're going to look at this real quick, and what do I know? You know, this is my third bull cycle in the crypto markets. I bought my first Bitcoins whenever they were worth like $250. I did not hold on to them, by the way. I definitely made the mistake that everybody makes, and didn't take it as seriously as I should have. I believed in it. I've always loved crypto, and I've been obsessed with it since. But I tried to time the markets and trade, and man, I pissed everything away in the beginning. But man, we've had a hell of a comeback since the beginning days. Those were dark times. Anyways, enough of that. I'm just telling you guys from a point of my experience. You know, this is my third bull cycle. When I tell you things like typically, from a high to a low, a cycle high to low, typically when you break out to new all-time highs, you stop at the 1618 to 2272 area. I'm not just saying that, right? I'm not just saying that because it sounds good. I'm saying that because typically that's what you do in crypto, actually. If you go from one prior cycle's high to low, like bull market high to the bear market low, the next area you'll go to when you see new all-time highs will be the 1618 to 2272 typically. Not always, definitely not always, but typically that's kind of the areas that we expect. I am taking 2 cycles ago's all-time high to low because it kind of encapsulates, it doesn't kind of, it very well encapsulates this whole consolidation phase you've been in for multiple cycles now. I think that when you break out, you're going to see some fantastic growth, and I feel completely confident in that the golden ratio is a good minimum target. Okay, so let's go over that real quick, right? And maybe even we'll pull up the others chart, okay, real quick before we carry on here. Okay, others. We look at this on a monthly time frame if we can. I think we can. It's taking its sweet time, man. Come on now. There we go. All right. From a high to a low. High here to a low here. All right. The others chart is the top 125 cryptos by market cap, excluding the top 10. So it's 115 coins in the top 125, excluding the top 10. I'm expecting, and just trust when I tell you, right? I was just saying that the 1618 to 2272 is likely where most cryptos go to top off. I think the others chart, we're not going to see the average crypto pull a 7x by the end of this cycle, right? If alt season does begin, and it will begin at some point in this cycle, I doubt that we get a 7x overall for the average coin, right? This sounds a little bit more appropriate. I think that we would go just above the 2272, something around $6 to $7 trillion, which would imply that we've got like a 26x to 30x move for the average altcoin, okay? 26 to 30x move for the average altcoin, right? If we look at this so far, remember that, 26 to 30x, okay? From a low to where we are now, the average altcoin's up about 3.3x, 228%, 3.3x from their bear market lows. Stellar Lumens, from its bear market low, is up about 3.3x. So it's performing about average, right? We did see an above average move here in November, absolutely. And I think that could carry on with the idea that we will see above average performance going forward. But if the average altcoin is going to see, and I think we've just established that XLM is at least keeping on par with the average altcoin, the average altcoin is going to see what's projected to be a 26 to a 30x, then here, right at the 1618, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. And in my opinion, it would make more sense to go here than it would for XLM to stop at the 1414. Typically, when you stop at the 1414, you go just above there. You don't stop right at it. You go just above there. And even just above, that's a 20x. So that means that Stellar Lumens, this coin that outperformed most coins in November, like on this October to December pump, right, that a lot of coins had, even going into January for some coins, it outperformed the average coin. It's going to underperform the average coin going forward after it breaks out to its new all-time highs that it's been in this consolidation for multiple cycles. And there's more bullish narrative surrounding XLM and coins in this kind of niche aspect of crypto than there ever has been. I don't think so, man. I don't think you're going to see a sub-average move. So something above average, if not around average, makes sense. And that's basically the golden ratio. $8.46. There's a lot of sense to be made there. So we're going to put a line there, okay? $8.46, $8.47, whatever. And then going all the way up to the 2272. And let's actually pull this up on CoinMarketCap too so that we can see what the market cap would be for Stellar Lumens on that note. XLM here. Stellar Lumens, $7.4 billion now. So, I mean, if you're at 7.4 billion, 7.4, and you were to multiply that by 33.2, or no, I'm sorry, 34.2. 34.2. These are billions, right, that we're talking about, 7.4 billion. So $253 billion. It's not a small market cap by any means, but for a coin that's been around as long as Stellar Lumens has been, and it's in a multi-cycle consolidation phase, I think this thing deserves a multi-$100 billion market cap. What do I know? But I've just been in this space for three cycles now. You know, I feel like I've got maybe a better head than the average person as far as understanding what the potential is for coins to achieve. Does that mean that I'm going to be right? Does that mean it has to go here? No, but I feel like thinking logically, yeah, this thing deserves a multi-$100 billion market cap. Will it maintain that forever? Will it sell off and then go lower? Probably it will. You know, I doubt it maintains that forever. And who knows? This could be the last great cycle for Stellar Lumens, but I don't think so, man. Not with the narrative going on with it. But anyways, we're not here to talk about the narratives. We're not here to talk about fundamentals. We're here to talk about the technicals. So this, in my opinion, is very suitable. Now, could we go all the way up to the 2272? Can Stellar Lumens do a 353x? Probably not. Probably not, right? If we have a $7.4 billion market cap now, and we multiply that by 353, I mean, that'd be a $2.6 trillion market cap. I know it says 2,000, but if we're doing billions here, that's our multiple. We're treating that as just like single digits here. Yeah, thousands would be trillions. It's 2.6 trillion. I don't know. I think maybe you push a trillion, but I don't know if you actually get above $1 trillion, let alone 2.6. So we'll take off that target. The 2272 is not on the table, okay? Let alone any targets above there. Let's see if we can find, we've got a good minimum target, right? Let's see if we can find a good maximum. What about the 1886? Let's see if we can go up to the 200. Let's say 33. So that's a 135.2x. 7.4 billion times 135.2. That's about $1 trillion. I think we could push that, but that's probably the maximum that we would get, right? Does that make sense? I don't think that we'd go too much higher than that. And depending on how many tokens are unlocked, what's the token unlock schedule like too? Because we're not even fully diluted. Maybe the market cap can get there, but the price doesn't get there, right? Unlock progress allocation. Is it all unlocked? It's all unlocked by this. Okay, fully diluted valuations this. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know enough about the tokenomics. Maybe I need to do more research on that, but just be aware of that, right? That can definitely impact the price. Maybe, you know, if unless all the tokens are unlocked. Maybe there's been some that have been burned. I don't know. The market cap looks like the price, so we haven't seen any unlocks. Anyways, I don't know if we get to 135. Okay, I don't think that we get to 100 or to $33, right? Still searching. I think that a good maximum might be here, so let's do that. Let's do a $22 price. That would be about a 91x, 92x probably, because it's let's do that. 7.4 times 92. Guessing and checking here, man. 92 billion. 92x 7.4 billion, sorry. That's a $680 billion market cap. Okay, I could see that. 680 billion as a good maximum, I think so. Something that's above 500 billion, you know, pretty high. Those are some pretty exceptional expectations to have. And it is possible maybe that you could even go a little bit above there, pushing $1 trillion. I think something between 22 to 33, but probably closer to like 25 or even 30, not quite at 33. That might be possible by the end of the cycle. But I like this area here so far of $8.46 to $22, okay? Now that we have that zone, we made sense out of that, let's look at another fib and just see if that makes sense from a high to a low here. We've got the 1886 and the 2272, and I was telling you that from a prior cycle high to low, typically if you do see new highs, and we are going to see new highs, you stop either at the golden ratio or the 2272 or somewhere in between, right? If we were to hit the 2272 and go just above there, we're actually at the maximum end. The minimum end of this idea, the 1618, doesn't even line up with our minimum end here, but the 1886200 does, and that could be where we stop here as well from a high to a low. Could be the 1886200 level as well over here. So they just kind of line up together. I like that. I think that that looks fine. Did we stop at the 1886200 here too from a high to a low? No, here, if you look at this smaller term fib already, we stopped right at the 2272, which maybe implicates that we could go up to here. Again, prices above $20 by the end of the cycle, you guys, are very possible for Stellar Lumens, which would be nuts, man. $20, wait. Isn't that 100x? Did I do this right? Did I do it wrong? 92. Hold on now. What's wrong here? Did I measure it from the wrong place? No. No. Okay, maybe just above $100. Okay, just under a 100x. Okay, so just above $20. Nothing too crazy though. Yeah. Okay. So we did the math. Right, I think. Anyways, I just had to double check that. We've got our target areas. They make sense, but based on the overall high to low of this consolidation phase, based off the last cycle high to low, at least to me, it makes sense. Now let's do XLM BTC and see if we can make sense out of this. Now, I don't know where we're gonna go. Nobody knows, right? It's a guess, but we're going to try to give it our best guess, okay? From a all-time high versus Bitcoin to an all-time low versus Bitcoin, which is what you've actually just had. Basically, you're at a double bottom, by the way. Very positive reaction. This is a good look. Hit your 382, went below the 236. You're coming down. This isn't going to help us too much with how far down we're going to go, so let's actually put that on here. Let's get a low to high here. We're at the golden ratio. I don't think we go down too much more. I think we're probably in the area to find support. Relatively speaking, we probably move up. And from here, when you move up, you likely will get above this area. Now, if you look at the 382 here, we take away the fibs, okay? You can see you've been held down by this area for resistance. You actually were held up by it for support. You found resistance back here before. It's a significant area on the XLM BTC chart. When we move up from here, right, the relative golden ratio from a low to high here, this is the relative golden zone. Do you think we're going to stop here again, or do you think we're going to break through? I think we've been stopped for a long time, and I think we're preparing to break through. I think that's what's happening here, in my opinion. And if we do break through, where's the next logical area to go to? The golden ratio. Based on the fibs, based on the price, it looks good, right? You even found some resistance here. You can't really see it, but on a closing monthly basis, you found resistance right there. And back here even, you found resistance right here. Closing monthly resistance right there at the top of the end, or top of the zone there. So maybe by the end of the cycle, maybe this is where you are. You know, maybe you go higher, but I think this is a good minimum by the end of the cycle for the BTC chart. So let's throw on 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 zeros, 1, 4, 8, 1, 4. This is where we got a lot. We have to put in zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 8, 1, 4. Is that what it was? 1, 4, 8, 4. 1, 4, 8, 4. That, and we multiply it now by the price that Bitcoin will be. Okay, we don't know what Bitcoin's price is going to be, but we're going to do some assuming real quick. Forgot that we're going to have to do this as well. Let's see. So from a high to a low, let's just see. Cycle high, last cycle to a low. Again, 1618 to the 2272. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that by the end of this cycle, Bitcoin's only going to be at 173K. I really do think that we'll be up higher, and I've gone over my rationality for this, my reasoning for this, but I don't want to. This is an XLM chart analysis, not a Bitcoin chart analysis, so I don't want to really go into too much explanation, but let me try and do something real quick to just justify why I believe we will go to the 2272. Okay. If we look at this, maybe on a weekly time frame, it'll detours on detours, man. I'm doing the weave. We're doing the weave, guys. Let's see here. Trend line. If we take this bear market low, okay, and we go to this high, why are we going to this high? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Hold on, let me just get this. If we're going to this high right here, low to high, that was right before the halving, okay? In 2012, November 28th, 2012 was our halving. So this was our bull market beginning to the high. This is our pre-halving move, okay? Pre-halving move. If we take this, we take our post-halving move, which would be November 28th and onward, so probably the low of this week here, November 28th and onward for the rest of the cycle. This is our post-halving move, okay? If we go here, if you notice, the post-halving move versus the pre-halving move, post-halving move had a higher slope, it was inclined more, and it also was a larger move overall. Pre-halving was smaller, post-halving was bigger. And we can actually observe this happen every single cycle so far in Bitcoin's history. From a low point here to the high point here, the next halving was July 9th, 2016. So that right there, June 2016, that's the low to high pre-halving move. Okay, that's our pre-halving move here. our post-halving move, which we take the low after the halving, which July 9th was the low, okay? Or July 9th was the halving of this year. Come on now, so this is the low. Oh my God, why isn't it? Come on, dude, just get right there. There we go. You can see again, higher slope and overall dominantly larger move post-halving than we had pre-halving, okay? Last cycle was a little bit different, and it's kind of weird. I think because of COVID, we had this huge, long, drawn-out boringness, but still, the halving here was May 11th, 2020, so this is our pre-halving move, low to high. That's it right there. And then our post-halving move, we're not going to take this low because that's before the halving, right? We have to be fair. Post-halving was May 11th was the halving, right? That would have been here, this week right here. So from that low to the high of the bull market. And I mean, the high's over here, but I think the bull market ended here. So I'm going to take that, right? Still, regardless, and I could extend it if I wanted to make it look bigger, but I don't want to. Still, a larger move, but this time the slope was actually decreased based on compared to the pre-halving move. However, this end of cycle finale from a low to a high, even if we take that high, we don't even go for the maximum slope. We could have ended it here and get that maximum slope. This thing still actually did have a little bit higher of a slope than our pre-halving move did, right? This is a pretty fast pre-halving move, let's be fair. And but that post-halving move was still more bullish, still larger, even if we just measured this, not from the low, but just from there, it's still larger overall and at a higher slope still. So no matter on how you want to cut it, larger moves overall. Now, we're getting to the exciting part, right? Finally, just explaining the logic. Low here to the high before the halving. April 20th was the halving, so that's our pre-halving move there. Very big pre-halving move, very constructive. Very, very constructive, you guys. Here's our post-halving low. How far is it going to be? We don't know. We don't have the measurement. But what we do know, what we presume to know, what I presume to know, is that it will be bigger than this. It'll be bigger than this with a higher slope, likely. It'll be bigger than this with a higher slope. We're a much more constructive cycle this time than we were last time, right? We don't have COVID. We don't have high inflation. We don't have quantitative tightening. We don't have the interest rates going up. We have a crypto-friendly administration in the White House, and all around the world, people are adopting Bitcoin for their strategic reserves amongst other cryptos as well. I think that at the very least, we will see a move that's bigger than this. Well, right here is 230K. 230K ending in November of 2025. I think that we're going to extend our cycle into 2026. And we're going to have a higher sloped increase. That doesn't mean we have to go to 500K, but at least understand, okay, typically Bitcoin in its whole life, actually not typically, literally in its whole life, it's either stopped for its all-time high at the golden ratio or above the 2272. And if we're going to see a bigger move than our pre-halving move, is it going to be just barely bigger like this? No. Even last cycle, which was weak, saw a dramatically larger move. We're going to see something that goes up to the 2272. And a little known fact about the 2272, Bitcoin likes to go just above there. It doesn't like to stop right at it. It likes to go just above there. So that's $500,000, okay? $500,000 for Stellar Lumens for Bitcoin by the end of the cycle, probably sometime in Q1 or Q2 of 2026 is what I'm guessing. I hope it makes sense. All that to say, getting back here, where we projected that the next breakout for XLM to BTC would be here, we input that number here. Now I can finally tell you why I'm putting in $500,000. And let's actually even deduct that. Let's do 460. Because if Bitcoin tops at 500, Stellar Lumens probably tops off after Bitcoin, as all coins do. They tend to top off afterwards. So maybe Bitcoin's down a little bit from $500,000. 460,000. What would that get us? Am I wrong? Did I do something wrong here? Did I put in the wrong numbers? Is it supposed to be 4 zeros? Nope, that's right. 4 zeros, 1484. 1484, 460,000. No, we did that right. So $6.82 is the minimum target we've gotten so far. I don't like that because that disagrees with our target area, but let's put it on there nonetheless. $6.82, and we'll change the color a little bit. Actually, maybe I don't mind that so much, right? Because it's pretty close. It's actually pretty close to our target area, isn't it? We'll change this to yellow, or maybe orange, because this is derived from the Bitcoin chart. Let's just do that. Orange, derived from the Bitcoin chart. And again, using logic here, from a high to a low of this overall range, are we going to stop just below that golden ratio? Probably not, right? We're probably not going to stop just below. That doesn't happen. You typically either hit it or you stop just above the 1414. You don't stop right here. It can happen. Anything can happen, but actually I think even though that this is below the minimum target that we had, that's still fair. That's still a good, I think, price to go to, and likely we would probably even go above that. From here to there, that's still average performance. So still not upset with that. Around $7, just below $7. And this is all also running with the idea that XLM versus BTC stops at the golden ratio, that Bitcoin's at 460,000 by the time Stellar Lumens tops off. What if Bitcoin goes a little bit above 500K and maybe it's at 500,000 by the time Bitcoin tops off, or by the time Stellar Lumens tops off? There we go, 742. It's a little bit higher still, right? But maybe we have it wrong with the golden ratio. Maybe you're not here by the end of the cycle, right? Perhaps you're here going into August or July, and then the end of the cycle, you're actually at higher prices. I could see that, right? We're on the minimum zone. So let's work out the maximum now. If we're looking at the price here, we've got a high point here. You've got resistance here. You found support, support, support all the way through here, and that is the 786. I like that. Although that's not the given maximum. I think the maximum should be at the 886. Let's run both of these numbers. That's at 403 to 40432. Let's do that. 403. 403, right? Is it anything else? We'll just do 403. 403 times, again, $460,000 Bitcoin. That's a $13.80 price for XLM USD. Do we have prices that agree with that? Well, not really based off this fib, but it is in the range that we have. It is, so $13 and what, 80 cents? $13.80 XLM USD. That lines up right there. We're making sense out of targets that are within this range. That's nice, right? Close to this range, good enough for me. And then if we take a high to low here, I'm just curious real quick. High to low from the last cycle, that target's just below the 2272, which again, I would think we go just above the 2272, but maybe, maybe not, okay? I'm going to delete this fib so that we don't have too much noise on there. Okay, we'll delete that. So far, we're getting targets that are at least close, if not in this range, so that's good. That's actually not bad. And if we were to get, 500,000, I'm sure it would go a little bit more, but I want to do XLM BTC here at 404313. 404313. This is the maximum projection I have, and I actually wouldn't be surprised at all if we went up here, okay? 4313 times, again, we're going to multiply it by 460K, just assuming that Bitcoin tops off a little bit, and to be conservative, right? I'm not trying to be overly optimistic. I'm trying to be conservative. 1983, $19.83 on the US dollar pair. Does that agree with anything that we have? I mean, that's right there in that range, guys. So I think it's very conclusive that I think what we've done throughout all this critical thinking here is that by the end of this cycle, sometime in early 2026, probably before May or in May at the latest, I think we will see targets, and maybe it's later, maybe it's earlier, maybe it's January, I don't know. Maybe it's December of this year, I don't know. But by the end of this cycle for Stellar Lumens, the minimum given target we've come up with is 681, which actually is average performance for the average altcoin, so I'm okay with that. I don't think that's a problem. You're at least performing average, breaking out to new all-time highs, sure. But it doesn't make sense on the fibs. There's really no other sense to be made out of that. The thing that makes the most sense is actually that this is wrong because of our interpretation of this chart here, potentially, right? That makes more sense to me. Every other target is above $8, right? $8 to $21. We didn't get with our BTC analysis anything at 21, but we got pretty damn close with $19 there. And that's, again, assuming that we timed it right or we have the right math with a 460K Bitcoin to a $500,000 Bitcoin. It could be above $500,000. Maybe it's below 460, but something in that rough area, right? I'm trying not to be too optimistic, be a little bit conservative so that if anything, you're surprised by that extra little $2 that you may or may not get. But I think it's conclusive at this point that something between $14 to $20, $15 to $20 is probably where you're going to go by the end of the cycle. You're at 23.8 cents now. Don't mess it up. Just buy and hold and buy more, and you'll be fine, man. You'll be gravy. This thing's going to do very, very well. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all. Bye-bye.